Hey, Nat and Jodie here again, and we've got something really cool for you.
Yeah, we've got this really cool presentation that's going to run you through how to find cheap flights. Now, we thought we were doing really well with our first 4 years of travel, getting cheap flights. We, have done, I think, $2,500 each or something.
We haven't done too badly.
On average. But what was really surprising was since meeting Beck Power, who is a Kiwi and former award-winning travel agent, we met her in 2016, and suddenly, with what we learnt from her, our flight cost reduced dramatically.
Yeah.
And we even included more countries in that year as well. So basically, Beck has got an overview presentation here of some of the strategies that she uses to find cheap flights. It's definitely thinking outside of the box. It's not about just looking from A to B and using the different search engines that are out there. She's come across a really cool search engine that sort of almost 100% thinks like she does. And yeah, she's sharing all of these great tools and tricks. So if you're wanting to learn cheap flights or wanting to learn how to find cheap flights and be able to travel the world for next to nothing like we do, then stick with this presentation, and at the end we'll come back and let you know about a really cool deal if you want to take part in the NomadFly membership as well.
All right, enjoy.
I am Beck Power. I'm going to introduce myself again in a minute. I run NomadFly.me, and I'm going to show you today how to save thousands of dollars on flights, and I'm not exaggerating either. That's a real thing, and all without using air miles. So I don't really use them. There are ways to get cheap flights without them. I'm going to show you those ways. So my goal for this webinar workshop thing is for you to be able to learn how to find your own cheap flights and then save hundreds of dollars on your next trip. That would make me really happy. If you do that, please let me know. And I'm going to show you a bunch of different tricks, but I really want for you to experience the paradigm shift that occurs when you take the old way of looking for flights and you change the way that you think to search for flights in a different, new way. I know it sounds a bit weird right now, but it will make sense a little bit later on in this workshop. Let me tell you firstly what makes NomadFly different and what makes this workshop different than all the other stuff that you hear about. I'm not a travel agent. I used to be. I will talk about that in a sec. This isn't a travel agent thing. I'm not about to book flights or talk about that stuff. It's not just talking about passing airline sales, like flash sales or special deals or one-off things. You have to search for one-off things all the time. That's not what it's about either. And all I'm doing is teaching strategies and sharing tools and tips to make your next travel experience better. So cheaper, more awesome. You'll be able to save money on flights and spend that money on having awesome adventures. You might want to go kiteboarding or skydiving, or maybe you just want to drink a lot of wine. That's totally cool as well. Whatever you want to spend the money on that you save on flights is totally all yours to do whatever you want with. And that's really exciting because there are a lot of benefits of doing it this way, and I'll bust them out in a second. But first I want to introduce myself a little bit more. I'm Beck Power, and I run NomadFly. I'm a former travel agent back in New Zealand. I actually won a bunch of awards and some stuff. I did pretty well there. And I really did that well only because of this trick that I'm about to show you. It's kind of like the ultimate flight hack. I'm a cheese enthusiast, world traveler, solo cyclist. One time. I mean, I don't want to brag, but it was one time I did a cycling trip. Anyway, there's a bunch of stuff I've done, and it's all kind of led me to this point, as life tends to do. And so, and the last one, as you see there, is I'm a flight nerd. Yay! Got the glasses and everything. Okay, so I've definitely done a lot of things right? Like to get to how I do things. I don't pay a lot for travel now for flights. I've got kind of a good setup going, but I've also done a lot of stuff wrong, way more stuff wrong than right, to be fair. Most of my rights come out of a lot of wrongs. So I made a lot of mistakes. I spent a long time learning how to do this stuff by mostly trial and error, and also learning from other people, taking strategies and making them my own. So I've done a lot of stuff wrong. I'm definitely not anything special, as you can see. You know, I have like some good hair days. This isn't one of them, but I'm nothing special. All I am is a girl that figured out how to get cheap flights and now wants to share it with you guys. So after booking thousands of itineraries for people, here's what I learned. Booking flights is really complicated. It's way more complicated than I thought. I thought I was just going to be using online stuff. They have their own systems. They're really complicated. You basically need to learn a new language. There's very little easy to follow knowledge. You know, it seems so. I go into these forums, and it seems like there's like secret codes for everything. Everything's an acronym. You figure out all this stuff. If you're just starting out, it's like awful and impossible to try and find what you're looking for, or really, unless you're going to delve like right deep into it, it's kind of not even worth giving it a go, I've found. But there is a way that you can sort of put your toe in the water and get like massive results. So this, for me, this is the least effort that you can make, or like the smallest hack or trick that you can do to get the biggest result. So I've saved people hundreds and thousands, or hundreds of students thousands of dollars. Probably not hundreds of thousands yet. Maybe, actually, no, maybe. So I discovered all this stuff the hard way, and you can now get to cheat and learn the easy way. Yay! Lucky you. The hard way was just blindly using search engines. You know, you don't know which one's best. You just kind of search on a few from where you're leaving to where you're going, and hope that you get a better deal on one of them than another. It's not really a lot of strategy there. You might buy because you're afraid that the price is going up, and that's the only reason. And you end up paying too much on flights. And I don't think anyone really wants to give their money to an airline. You know, if you're going to spend money on something that's travel related, it better be like a cocktail or something. Do you know what I'm saying? So, if you want the easy way, which I'm sure that you do, let's talk about what that means. In the past, I've gotten some amazing deals, and I don't use air miles. They're definitely not a thing in New Zealand where I come from. I've had like terrible experiences trying to get air miles. It all became too much. I just find it, first of all, they don't do it, hardly. When they do, it's crap. And then any time that there's been a good thing, it's just been overwhelming for me. So I'm like, I'd rather just keep it easy and do my own thing. So people have found some pretty awesome deals. I found some of these. I got some from the group. Bangkok to Kuala Lumpur for $33 return. Bangkok to Ho Chi Minh for $38 return. It's pretty awesome. Ho Chi Minh City to London. Someone found this last week actually for $200 one way. That was a like route that I didn't even really had never thought about, but it was Vietnam Air. It's pretty cool. $40 from Dubai to Manila in the Philippines. $40. That's insane. And $280 from Auckland to Buenos Aires. Auckland, New Zealand to Buenos Aires, Argentina. So this is just a cross section of some deals that you can get if you know how to use these strategies. So we're going to talk a little bit more about them. But first, I'm supposed to say that results aren't typical, because people on these things always make big claims. But to be fair, results are kind of, almost typical. It won't work for all kinds of flights. There's a lot of, destinations that it might not work for from a particular place, but it's always worth a try. And it almost always, you can get something cheaper than what you originally find. Like, I'm pretty sure with 99% certainty that every flight can be found a bit cheaper than your first look. So the people in my group are finding really epic deals. It's quite cool to see, because they don't always want to fly them. It's just really fun to look, but they share them in the group, so then we can all benefit from them, and then we all know good routes as well. And so I like to share them in my webinars and workshops and on the Facebook page and stuff like that. And what if you were next? What if you had that opportunity to like find those flights, and then suddenly you're the person that all your friends come to find such cheap tickets. I constantly am bombarded by people looking for cheap tickets. It's a little bit different when it's your friends and you're like the cool one, and they're like, oh, come on, hook me up, you know. But what if you could take your significant other on a weekend trip, you know, a surprise weekend getaway? I always want to do that. It's like, hey, you got any plans this weekend? How about we, you know, go to insert amazing, awesome destination that you thought was like well out of your price range, but in fact you can go there for just $200 for a weekend or a week or whatever you want it to be. This stuff is way cheaper than you think. And the cool thing is that when you're actually saving that money on flights, right, when you're only spending a couple of $100, or it might be, in some cases, 90% less than, I had literally one guy who found a ticket from the States to Europe, I think it was return, and his initial search was like $1,000 or something, and then he found one, oh no, it was more than that, because he found one for like $200 return. And anyway, I can't remember the details, but it was 90%. He wrote it in the email. Oh my god, 90%. And I was like, yeah. So if you're saving all this money on flights, you now get to spend that money on your actual trip, on your actual, maybe you get a nicer hotel. I don't know what's important to you, but I would buy a whole lot of food because I'm like a traveling eater. So you know, you get to decide what it is that you want to do. Do you want to do skydiving and you've never been able to afford it because it's like $300 or $400 to even do it? Well, you just saved that much on your flight, so now you can afford to go skydiving. You know, what would you do with that money? It's pretty amazing. I mean, here's a few shots of me, and what I choose to do with my money is usually visit zoos or animal places or sanctuaries or volunteer with things. For some reason, it's quite often that. There's me in Hobbiton, in New Zealand in the top left, and then in Thailand on a bike, Bali with a monkey, and I think the other one might be Thailand as well. There's always so much cool stuff to do, and when you save money on flights, you're left with you know, only the other stuff to pay for, and you have more money to pay for it. And especially if you get into house sitting, which is actually something that we cover